Three, two, one, and we are live. All right, welcome everyone who is here, and we're just gonna take some time and see who can jump in. Um, my name is Yarek, who buys houses. I am here with Scott and Tabatha. For Goo, is
Forge.
that
Just
Forge?
say
Yeah,
Forge, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever.
Forge. Got it. Forge.
Editing
Perfect.
there for some reason.
Got it. Okay. Forge. Perfect. So we're here today to hopefully share the knowledge that you guys have. And people who are on going to be watching us, please do make sure that you guys ask questions because that's the most important thing. You ask questions, you get the information across. We sometimes feel that our questions are not important or whatever it is we can come up with. There's most likely somebody else out there that has the same question as you, so please do ask so we can share. All right, so let's just wait, give us a couple of minutes before we start the live presentation. How are you guys? How has COVID been treating you? What's going on in 2020? You guys think about the safe.
Well, hey, Facebook Live.
Yeah.
Personally, finally get to work on our own house.
Yeah.
There you go.
I was so happy when they said it's a mandatory stay at home. I was like, thank you, God.
Got a break.
Thank you.
But we're
There you
still
go.
so
Yeah.
How long did it take you guys to get bored?
what's that?
Us, we're always bored.
Yeah.
We got so bored, we decided to rip the garden apart. And
Yeah.
actually, it's so weird because everybody talks about dream boards. I put mine together and it's been hanging in the office.
Yeah.
It's in my garden. My garden was on the dream board and I never paid attention to it. And then one day I was putting the stones and I was rearranging it. And I looked and I was like, oh my God, I've seen this picture somewhere before. And I go in the office and I'm like, it's right there.
Yeah, it works. Yeah, our minds are a tricky, powerful thing. Yeah, that's awesome. So you guys that came around to doing certain things around the house.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we ripped apart the hallway and redid it and finishing up some other things around the house and, fixing up cars, getting things done that we normally don't have a chance to do because we're always busy.
Yeah. We always get this in a vicious circle that we get into every day cycle. And this was a really nice, to some people, nice way of getting up to date to the certain things I have to do. And I'm happy to hear you guys are safe and your loved ones. So you guys are moving forward. And
Yeah, we're good. We've still been busy with the business. We got a couple projects we're managing and we're doing lead generation and working on a lot of different things right now. So it's good. We got to take a step back and work on our business side of things instead of just trying to make money and doing deals.
Yeah, it went from the little Post-it notes to the really big ones all the way down the hallways.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I love
like
your art. Yeah, I love your artwork in the background. You got the eagle. Very nice.
oh yeah, that's his favorite.
Yeah, that's mine.
Very nice. Very nice. I love it. Okay, sweet. So
Put a Black Panther next time.
Yeah.
Okay. So there will be a next time. I'm super excited. So we'll be able to provide more content in the future for all the viewers and all the followers.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited to for you guys to share your gems, your knowledge, and yeah. So I guess we can go ahead and start. We can begin now. Hey everyone, my name is Yarek, who buys houses. I am here with Scott and Tabatha, who are going to be sharing their knowledge, creating maximum profit regarding to real estate and moving forward. To those who might not know you guys, where did you start? What year did you get into the industry? Where do you focus? What state? Who are you and what do you guys do?
Who are we? I don't know.
Great question.
We primarily focus in Middlesex and Monmouth County in central New Jersey.
Started what?
Based here. Well, we started
2009.
Yeah, our first
2009?
flip was purchased in 2008, and we sold it in 2009. And then we had to figure out where to go from there because all our funding got pulled away. We didn't know about REIA clubs and a lot of different
Networking. We didn't have those things. Nobody
didn't
taught
know
us
about it.
none of that.
Yeah. So
Both from single moms.
Yep. Both from single, raised by single moms, broken homes. Typical of I guess you would say the age of where we're from.
The 70s.
Yeah, 70s.
We can't admit it. We're from the 70s. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So and now
And even back then, no, that's when everybody lost their jobs, and that's how
Yep.
we ended up getting started.
That's when the economy crashed and people were losing their homes, and we bought it as everybody was running. We didn't know. We were just like, hey, we could do this. But before we bought that property, we looked at over 100 deals. We probably made 75, 80 offers before we got that one locked up.
Wow.
And, we were able to.
We found Carlton Sheets.
Well, we bought Carlton Sheets.
Infomercial.
We bought him back in the 90s, and now we're really dating ourselves. But, we bought his course back in the 90s. That was the first one we heard of, and we were going to do that, but we didn't actually take action.
Yeah, we were actually in Florida when we got that, and then Hurricane Andrew hit it.
Oh.
So we've gone through a few, a couple of bumps here and there.
Yeah.
This is the worst one, I think, the pandemic. Besides, and the worst hurricane we've gone through. So.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a crazy. How'd you guys get into real estate? Was it a passion for both of you guys the whole time, or?
Well, he was working for hedge funds and got bonuses when others and some friends were out of work, and we says, you know what, let's do it, right? We just said, let's do it.
I just looked at it one day and said, all these people losing their jobs and things going bad. I said, you know what, I don't want to work in corporate America and have somebody controlling my life. There's got to be a better way. So I said, let's do it. Our friends were out of work. We got it. We gave them paychecks for like a month and a half.
We did the best we could because we didn't know. We
had no guidance. We just did it
until we made it.
we did all the work ourselves. We had them come in. We hired a couple contractors where we needed, like a roofer and a masoner. The masoner we still use today, actually.
Yep.
So we have a good relationship.
The architect we still use till today. Our architect.
Wow, look at that.
Then those guys, they come in and out for every project. They're in and out as needed. So,
well, that's great because the topic today is pretty much creating maximum profit by handling your projects, right? So you guys kind of figured it out. You built a skill set around it, and you're here to educate others around it, about it. Because I always, I'm an investor myself, and I always say that contractor is the biggest risk in this business because you do everything right, but if you hire somebody wrong, you will lose your shirt.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, we've been there and done that one.
Oh, same here. It's
you work your way through it. You vet them out.
It's one of those barriers to entry. It's like I was talking to another newbie investor, and he's like, "Why is it so hard for newbies to get into it?" And I'm like, to be honest with you, it's for those who want to stick it out and be persistent. Are those who continuously make money. It's tough. It is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah. It's not a get rich quick scheme. Which they portray that on the internet and on TV and the radio and everything. That hey, you can flip houses and make tons of money, and it's like there's always a risk involved, no matter what investment strategy you're using.
Right.
You just have to manage it and control it to the best of your ability, so that you're not losing any money and the risk is minimized.
Exactly. Right. No, that definitely makes sense. And I'm seeing we have more and more viewers coming in for today's live stream. I just wanted to make sure that people know. Please do comment. Positive or negative. As long as you be taking action, make sure you ask questions. Whatever question you might have, most likely somebody else has it. This is a time for you to ask questions to get them answered. Because here, Scott and Tabatha are dedicating their time to make sure that they're giving to you the knowledge and their experience. So one thing is you cannot buy. Experience is something you have to pay for. You cannot buy it.
You gain your experience as you go along. And. Why we're here today to talk about it is to help people minimize their losses and their risks and get them to understand that, you have to be sometimes stern in what you do, but you also have to be systemized. You have to have documents in place and you have to know how to hire the right people and, have the right contracts in place and paperwork in place and,
Exactly, and you guys will go more into depth throughout the slides, throughout the PowerPoint. Awesome, perfect. Yeah, and so we already having some questions popping up now, and you guys will be able to. I don't know if you want to, answer them now or during. It's up to you, but just make sure you keep an eye out on the side for the questions. And thank you for asking Tom that question. We'll get to you.
Answer it. Definitely answer it.
Yeah, that's part of the presentation that we had today was
perfect. So keep on asking questions. This way they'll get to it eventually. Scott and Tabatha, if people want to reach out to you and get in contact with you, is there a best way to get in contact with you?
It's actually on our last slide.
Yeah, we have a slide that has all our contact information with our email, with our phone number, a couple links they can reach out to us on.
They can find us through.
They can find us in a lot of different places.
Yeah, we run the real estate club also, CNJ REIG. You can find us through on there. Diamond in the Rough Properties, you can find us there. Airbnb sites, you can find us on there because we run those.
Well, our company,
you guys are not hiding.
We have multiple companies, so that's the thing. Our primary company is called Diamond in the Rough Properties, and we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, and right now our website is under construction because we're rebranding.
Nice.
We just got a new logo a couple weeks ago, so now we're designing our website. And once that's live, then people can reach us there.
Awesome. So there were, if anybody has a question after this video is no longer live, you can definitely wait all the way to the end to find out how you get in contact with them. So let's start, and I will go ahead and share your screen whenever you're ready.
Let me pull it up. Yeah, I guess share it, right?
Yeah, you just have to on the bottom. There's a share screen.
Oh, okay.
Button. You want to click that? I'll go ahead and approve it, and you guys can go with that.
Share screen.
And again, once again, guys, make sure you ask questions because this is the perfect time to ask those. And after this video is done, if you want to see it on YouTube, Facebook, wherever it is, make sure you put comments. Those questions will still be answered for you guys. So don't hesitate and move forward. And then
do we select the share audio button or no?
Yeah, share screen, right? It should be over at the bottom, right? It's right next to Cam Mike.
Do we hit the share audio box though?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what that does, and then I'll pull up the presentation.
All right, I'm going to add it on to it.
Oh, there we go. Now let's see if this works.
Yeah. You guys see it is the PowerPoint is there.
Yep. Oh,
perfect. All right, so I'll jump out and I'll jump back in later on. So you guys have a great time and enjoy. Take care.
It's the whole screen.
Yeah, it's the whole screen, but that's okay. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming and attending this event in our meeting. I know it's been a long day and it's late in the day, but we appreciate you coming on and spending your time with us, and we're going to provide you with some information. Hopefully, you get a lot out of it. So what we're going to be talking about is managing your projects. Let's see if I can. Okay, this is our company, Diamond in the Rough Properties. This is actually our new logo that we just came up with. We were just talking about. This is a brief summary of what we're going to be talking about today. Tips for you people to manage your projects and get the most out of your profits without having the least amount of headaches.
So selecting the right property, that's actually one of the most important things, because if you go to select a property and it's like got to get knocked down and you've never done something like that before and you don't have anybody on your team and it's in the wrong area, maybe, you could be doing something way more than what you can sell it for. So you got to choose the right, market area. And if you're going to do the property, you have to choose the right amount that you're going to put into the property in order to make your profits in there. So
right. So you need to know your market area to know what the value is worth on the property when you're done fixing it. So that's very important to know your market, because a lot of times we run into investors and people just starting out and they buy a property thinking that it's worth a certain value, or they say, well, I got an appraisal and it's worth this amount of money. And I know the market and I tell them it's not. And here's why. And I have to explain to them that an appraisal, you necessarily can't go by what an appraisal gives you, because sometimes you're on the border close to another town and then you're crossing markets. So like where we live, the market across the street a half a mile away is a more expensive market than where we live in our town. So therefore our house wouldn't be worth as much in our town as it would be in that market. So I can't compare my house in that market as I can here. So that's one of the crucial points to looking at doing a flip or a rehab or even a rental. You need to know what the value is. One of the other points is, what type of property are you going to get into? Besides being a single family or multifamily, is it a 2-story colonial? Is it a ranch? Is it a cape? Is it a split or buy level? These things are going to determine not only the cost, but the amount of work you have to put in it. The other thing is how much work are you looking to do? What do you think you can handle? Sometimes you get into a project and you're like, well, it's not too bad. It's just the kitchen, the flooring, the carpet, and this and that. But, it's $75,000 later and you're going, wow, this is more than I thought.
Especially if you put it in the wrong kitchen.
Right.
You don't put in a $20,000 kitchen for a $30,000 house.
Yeah. So,
and I've seen some people do, what is that? Yeah. Not the, quartz countertops in like
$250,000
yeah,
house. That's overkill.
A little bit over.
And you don't put a laminate countertop inside a $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 home either, because then you're undervaluing the property that way.
Yeah, you won't get the right amount out of,
Well, besides that, people coming in to look at the property, they're going to look at it and scratch their head and raise flags because they don't know why you did what you did compared to what the other houses in the neighborhood are doing. So when you're looking at the properties, you want to compare it to other houses in the area that have sold, basically, to see what people have put in the houses so that you know what you're dealing with and what you're putting into the property.
Yeah, check out the area. So like he says, you don't want to put high-end stuff in a minimum low-end area, so this way, that's how you determine for the right property, the right criteria, the right stuff.
Right.
So
and knowing your exit strategy, are you going to be renovating this property to sell, or are you going to be renovating it to hold and rent? Because you also don't put in the same components on a rental that you would on a flip. So
no, if you're going to hold, you're going to want the stronger, the stuff that's going to hold up for a lot longer. So you don't have to keep replacing it repeatedly.
Right. But you also you don't necessarily have to put in a quartz or granite countertop. You can always put in a laminate because it is a rental and tenants tend to destroy things, but it all depends on the market area you're in. What are the tenants getting for salaries? That's going to determine what your market value is and what your market area is. And it's important to know these things so that again, what you're putting into the house and and that becomes up. We'll be talking about that in a few minutes as part of what your budget is all about. So let's switch slides and we're going to talk about funding. Now, there's multiple ways to have funding for when you're buying your deals. And some people hear different abbreviations and some people hear different categories of it. So skin in the game is just how much money you have to put into the deal. Hard money lenders will ask you. Some private money lenders will ask you. Banks will ask you. Everybody will pretty much ask you how much money are you putting into the deal. And part of that is also going to determine the funding you're getting and how much experience you have. If you're new, you're going to need to have some money to put into it, no matter what project you're doing.
Some doesn't mean a whole lot, but you have to have, if you don't have a couple $1,000s in on it, people are going to be like, oh, well, they could just walk away. Some look for somebody to walk away after a couple $1,000s, but that's not what you want to do. You definitely want to do what you say you're going to do. So,
Yeah, that's an important thing there. So having skin in the game it could be your money. It could be your brother's money.
It could be your credit card.
Could be your credit card. Exactly. It's just a matter of when you work with a bank or a hard money lender, you're going to have to put, say, 20% down. Banks are probably 3% right now, but hard money lenders are probably, with the way things are, they could be your first deal anywhere from 10 to 20% down on the purchase. So you're going to need to be prepared for those funds. And what some people don't tell you is you're going to have funds for closing costs and funds for your first draw. They'll tell you to do 100% rehab, but that's after you already put money into the project. And then you get your first draw. So you get all your money back, but you still have to have the funds to start the rehab project.
When they say it's funds, like we said, it doesn't have to be yours. Okay, so you build your networking. Like I know I heard a lot of other speakers saying that.
Yeah. Build
your network. Find the people that can help you out. Build your team. Your team isn't just the contractors, which we're going to talk about. It's not just your lawyers. Your team is people that you can work with. Like we have other private lenders that we actually work with other things, doing other stuff. So, and they'll help you out and you help them out at the same time.
Right.
And besides, the more money you make them, the more they get to lend you.
Right. And then the more well, rapport, trust, relationship, you'll have a better relationship. Also, when you are doing these flips, the one thing you want to keep in mind is you always want to pay your lenders back first.
Yes.
And if anybody's ever going to lose money in a deal, it's you. It's not your lenders. It's not your contractors. You get paid last after the lenders and the contractors all get paid. So you don't want to hold up your project by not paying your contractors. And if they do a good job, you want to make sure you pay them because you're going to probably want to use them more than likely on another job.
Yep.
So you want to make sure that you treat them well so that they treat you well. It's all about building relationships with everybody you're working with, whether it's a bank, a contractor, a title agent. It doesn't matter. You build your relationships, and that's how you build your team. JV can mean multiple things. Joint venturing could mean you have the funds and you're partnering with a contractor, and he comes up with the rehab costs and he does the rehab, and you split the profit at the end. JV could mean your private lender. Instead of them just getting an interest, a percentage of their a return on their money, they'll get a percentage of the equity when you sell. It could be your hard money lender because some of them are also JV partners.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they'll come in and fund the deal, and then they'll help you get through the deal as an early rehabber. If you don't have the experience or skills, sometimes the hard money lenders themselves know how to rehab, or they can use their contractors that will go through the project with you. And you'll learn how to get through the project the right way without having problems, because all money lenders aren't out there just to make a buck. They're also out there to help you be successful because they want to be able to lend you more money.
Yeah, they don't want a one and done is what we all say. This is not a one and done type of business, because that doesn't get you anywhere.
Right.
So,
and like we said before, it's also not a get rich quick business. You're not going to get rich quick on one or two deals. Yeah.
Hey, it may hit. You may get
lucky and have
ones.
them, but the majority of it is you're probably going to make 35 to 50 grand on a flip.
Yeah.
Rehabs right now are basically anywhere from 50 to 75, but that's why you have to know what you're doing when it comes to the rehabs.
We do know someone. We do know a family that grew theirs on 42 different properties, and they made maybe 10 to 20 grand off of each one of them.
Different market area than Jersey, though.
Different, but still,
but you can do that if you're content and happy with it, depending on how much the rehabs are. Okay, let's move on to the next slide.
All right.
Okay, so knowing the costs. This is big questions from people out there that are getting started, and some people who maybe have already done a few projects but always run into snags. So
does everybody know what an SOW is? If we don't, we're going to answer that.
Right. So what SOW is, it's the scope of work. The scope of work is the project. What I do is I have a worksheet, basically an Excel spreadsheet, and I break down the entire project, what needs to be done from the outside to every room on the inside, including the basement and the attics. So you want to write down everything that needs to be done. You can write it on a piece of paper when you're first walking through the property, maybe create a Word doc. We could probably contact us afterwards, and we can send you a couple sheets that we have that you could take through projects and properties and walk around and mark things off that need to be repaired, so that you can get it up to market value. So part of that is the materials.
Well, also with the scope of work, don't forget certain things, like when you're looking at it, like electrician scope of work is different than your HVAC guy's scope of work.
Right.
So you're gonna want to separate those if you're gonna have, each one coming in to do the stuff. So your scope of work, so that you give each one, so you're comparing apples to apples.
Right.
So, and every time I don't do this, something is missed and something is forgotten, and then we're like, oh, that's right. Now we got to add that on.
Yep.
And trust us, from our mistakes, every single time we don't put one together for the contractors, something will be missed. Yep. Never fails.
It's usually not a big thing with us, but
no, but it adds up. If it's 1,000 here, 1,500 there, after a while, then you don't have your whole amount. You don't know how much you're paying.
Your profit shrinks, and because your cost goes up, because once you start working with the contractor, it's called an addendum, and then they add on costs and charges for it because it's not in the original scope. Fortunately, with us, we have contractors, part of your relationship building, that if you have to do something extra they usually just say, okay, get the material. Since I'm here working on it, we'll just throw it in at no cost or maybe a small cost because I got to have a guy there for the day.
Give them something extra at the end though, always.
Yeah. We always like to take care of our guys, give them a little extra. So again, part of the worksheet, what like Tabatha was just saying is, if you walk in and you say, well, the electrical panel has to get upgraded. Okay, so that's a cost. That's something separate than, doing outlets and switches in the house. One of the things that I see now is that if your house is older than 1960, you really wanted to get the wires inspected to find out, are they aluminum? Are they brittle? Meaning brittle is the insulation that wraps around the individual wire itself, not the external wrapping that wraps the 2 or 3 wires around to insulates them, like the conduit or the Romex, but the individual wires themselves. A lot of times right now with those age houses, the insulation on the individual wires are getting brittle, and it causes a risk of fire. We're not big on fires. We don't like fires.
No.
So we spend the extra money to do it the right way. And that's one of the things that we do, knowing the cost. What's it going to cost to do this job the right way? And it might cost us an extra $2 or $3 grand, but our product speaks for itself when it's done. The person buying the home or renting it doesn't have to worry that something's going to break or go wrong in the middle of the night or when they're away on vacation.
Sleeping in the middle of the night because there's no electrical fires. I prefer just rip it out and put new in.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I notice a lot of people don't say it and don't remember and don't remind people that after you sell the property, later on down the road, if something happens and they know that that work was done when you had the property and you ignored it and didn't fix it, that you could be held responsible and liable if something happens, especially if something serious happens. So for good conscience, if you do everything the right way and you get done, you're gonna make your profits, So just add it in there. Always add that extra.
That's
never fails.
That's part of the budget summary. Some of the things is materials. You're probably not going to know right away, and it's always suggested just for idea purposes and knowledge to walk through Lowe's and Home Depot and get an idea of what the different materials cost. So when you walk into a house, at least you know what materials cost, because if you hire a contractor, you're looking at Home Depot and you're like, okay, sheetrock is $13 a sheet, but all of a sudden he's charging you $18 a sheet. It's like, yeah, where are you getting this made from? You're marking it up. You shouldn't really be marking their materials up, but they all do. But you don't want to be paying an exorbitant amount for materials.
They get marked up a little bit,
but not. I've seen it where like
a $20,000 job and somebody comes in and actually says $53,000. It's like there's the door.
Well, part of what it is we started a contracting business for that simple reason. A regular homeowner to get a kitchen and a bath and some flooring done is being charged $25,000 without material. And I'm like, whoa, that's a lot of money to pay for just labor. So, watch your costs as a rehabber. So you want to also break it down between, okay, if I'm paying X amount of dollars for material, what are they charging me for their labor? Because sometimes when you're dealing with contractors, you can supply the material. Some people don't suggest it, but it's usually not an issue. If you supply the material yourself at your cost, because we get it with discounts from different supply houses, whether it's from Lowe's or Home Depot, with our group that we are part of, we can get people a discount from Lowe's where you walk in the door and you get a certain percentage off at the register, and then you get a certain percentage off when the bill comes in because it's net 30 terms. So we get costs there, we get discounts at other supply houses. So that's why sometimes it's cheaper for you to get it. And sometimes even the contractor tells us, you're getting it that cheap, get it yourself. So you want to know what the difference is between labor and material, and you also want your contractor to break that down. You want him to say, here's my estimate. Well, what are you charging me for labor and what are you charging me for material? Have them break that all down. And if they don't want to do it, say, hey, listen, I can't work with you because my lender wants this information.
Always blame it on your lender. Not impersonal, guys.
The lenders want that information anyway, and it's good to present it to them because you're more professional that way, and they see that you're not getting ripped off. They know where the money's going, and then you're not ripping them off and overcharging them for the rehab costs.
Yeah.
The budget summary is all part of what your repair costs are.
Oh, we skipped the contractors though.
Well, when you're getting that's why I was doing that. You're getting your repair costs. That's part of your budget summary. Yeah. With the contractors, you want to go. What we do is we go 3 to 5 for every component of the property. If you need a roof done, you want 3 to 5 contractors come out and give you an estimate for the roof.
But we also have Tom who asked, how do you find good contractors for beginners?
Well, we were going to answer questions at the end, but
Okay.
I could do it now.
Well, we're talking about the contractors.
So, yeah, there's another page to it.
Oh,
This is
okay.
strictly
Well,
about the
Tom,
costs.
give us a minute.
So you want to get 3 to 5 estimates when you're starting out, so you understand what costs are until you get the hang of it. And that's so that you know, because we've been there where it's like this guy wants 5,000, that guy wants 1,000, and you got 3 that want like 35, in between 3,000 and 3,500.
Yeah.
So questions like, why is this guy so cheap and why is that guy so expensive? One of the things we always say is labor.
Cheap labor isn't skilled, and skilled labor isn't cheap. Okay.
So,
and believe me, if you get into a project and that guy is way too expensive, just think, if you don't pass the inspection, if you don't get past the rough, you don't get past the rough, and many months down the road, is that cheap labor still any good? No, because now you're paying all your holding costs for a lot longer. So
right.
You have to look for the right one. And to
speaking,
get multiples,
yeah.
like I remember I heard somebody else speaking earlier that had said finding the multiples and finding the contractors, getting them from different places. I click pictures, and actually I click the pictures and on the roads.
Yeah.
On the things going by for the contractors. So
how do you find them? But that's one way. But as Tab mentioned, holding costs. What are the holding costs? Holding costs are your taxes, insurance, payments to your lenders, utilities. All of those things are holding costs that people forget about when they're looking at a deal. And I run a number on top of the repair costs of 13% of the ARV, and it basically covers all closing and holding costs. Because you have attorney fees, title agency fees, insurance, water, utilities, taxes, everything is there. And you have to pay those fees and utility bills while you're holding the property on a monthly basis until you sell the house or refi, and then you pass it on to your tenant at that point.
And don't forget, very, very important, your insurance. Make sure you get a vacant insurance. If there's nobody there while you're doing it, get your vacant insurance and pay that monthly.
Yeah.
There's some really good ones. So if something happens, because there are some serious horror stories, trust me.
Yeah. All right. We're going to go on to the next page, which gets into the contractors. This is the big one that everybody wants to really know about here.
Yeah.
So interviewing the contractors. So it's vetting them out, interviewing them, finding out if they're fit for you or not, finding out if they're good or not. So how do you find contractors? You can find them driving down the road. You see their vans and trucks. But a better way to go about it is to get into groups like this, your REIA clubs, and you start asking other rehabbers, who do you know that does HVAC? Who do you know that does electrical? Who works in this area? Are they good? Are they expensive? Knowing your market and what you're doing is different, because, again, I know some contractors that work in, say, Newark may charge less than contractors that work in Edison. Are they doing a full renovation down to the stud, or are they just replacing things in the wall without opening the house up? It all determines what the costs are, but you need to find out who are good contractors, who are reliable contractors are, and references from other investors, maybe relatives that have used guys. But those guys, you have to watch when you're looking at people outside of the real estate investing world, because they're used to homeowners. They pay retail price. They don't understand how to work with investors. So they smack you with the highest bill anytime they want to work with you, because they're used to homeowners. So
for sure. Different places. Some people don't think about asking. They're not, quote, supposed to give it to you, but ask the inspectors for the townships. When they come out, talk to them. You can actually, who's doing a lot of work in that town? Ask them.
Yeah.
There's they can't lie. It's on record. So it's public record. Who's doing a lot of work in that area? Are they passing their inspections? Are they doing good? That's one of you can find framers that way. And Home Depot and Lowe's both, I think they both started it now, where you could go to the pros desk and you can ask them. And they're actually vetting some of them out. Ask that the pros desk, who's coming in, who's doing a lot of work.
Right.
You know, they have what's called Home Depot, I think it was, or Lowe's. Lowe's had the buckets. They had buckets, and they had for the pros who was doing the most work around.
Yep.
See who's up there and make sure, don't skip it. Check out Rip-Off Report. Simple. Google their business name.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised what you can find just by typing it up in Google. Don't skip that part. Make sure you do that. And the other one is the Better Business Bureau. Check them out. Put their business name in there. And what's the Dun & Bradstreet?
Yep,
pull them up. It's a business one.
You could do consumer affairs to find out about them, but that'll also tell you if their license is valid with the state as well at that point. That's key components when working with a contractor is people always ask, well, how do you know if they have insurance? Tell them we want to be named as an insured on their policy.
Oh, my other
good insurance policy.
Sorry.
call their insurance company to verify that they still have an account there, that they're active with their policy. But you should be named as an insured on their policy because they're working on your project. And if something goes wrong, you want to be covered by their insurance.
Yeah. But the other way I found it, when they're working on a house down the road, stop, talk to them.
Yeah.
Go in and ask, while they're actually doing the work on a property.
Talk to the owner of the property.
Yeah.
if they're outside.
There's the owners there. I've talked to a lot of the contractors that are doing work on a property. I'm like, who are you doing the work for? And that's different ways. It's kind of easy, especially like if you're doing work in certain areas, there's a niche in those. Like our town, we have a whole bunch of masoners. So that's what we do. You can walk your streets and click the picture and start pulling them up.
Right.
Call them, talk to them, text them.
Get their references. Ask for references and contact the references and see if you can actually go see the current projects they're working on and some of the ones that they did. And that will also give you some information because you can contact the previous people. If they are not willing to give you references, then they're obviously not a good contractor, because every contractor that's good should be willing to give you references of their work, because good contractors take pride in their work and they usually have good work. So they're going to refer their people because they want more business.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of times sensible contractors look at you and say, you're an investor. Wow. You're going to be doing 5-10 deals a year. That's 5-10 deals I'm going to get out of you alone. And maybe I could just work for you all year round and not have to worry about chasing the dollar down with other people trying to get estimates and jobs all over the place too, because they're just like us. They're looking for jobs and they're hungry and they got to feed their family. So,
but that's don't treat them like they're
don't treat them just like they're a laborer.
Yeah, because all our guys, like we said before when we were talking earlier, all our contractors, we know like for years and years and years. We
know where they live, most of them.
We have fun on the job while it's getting done.
They know where we live and we know where they live. And it's, we're not friends with them, but we just have a good relationship with them. And I don't worry about them coming to break into my house, and they don't worry about me coming there taking their house apart. But, it's just that's the kind of relationship we built with them. And, we keep them honest because we always get estimates on our jobs. Even though we've been working with them for years, we still go out and get other estimates and say, hey, well, they're like, when can we work? And I'm like, well, I got other estimates I'm waiting on. And they question it. And they go, what do you mean? I said, I'm just looking to make sure I'm not getting ripped off. I know you do good work, but I'm just comparing apples to apples, because I want to see if things have changed. And if you're just complacent and you just throw out a number at me and expect me to pay it without it being a true number. So that's something else you want to keep an eye on is, if you got a good contractor, just make sure everybody's on the same page and everything's not complacent so that everything just runs smoothly, because
selecting the contractor, that's one of the things. If you don't get along, don't do
hire
it.
Them. Don't hire them. If you don't feel comfortable, do not hire them.
Definitely not going to work.
Right.
And part your ways, just like simple, like I've done it, this is just not going to be a good fit. If you're not willing to do like the paperwork the way we need it done, like giving us the breakdown, if you're not going to be willing to break it down for us, then you know what, we're not going to be a good fit, because I want to know exactly what is going on there.
Exactly. What am I being charged for? What are you charging me for materials? What are you charging me for labor? If they can't break that down, then it raises a flag because something's wrong, because they either don't know or they just don't want to tell me because they're overcharging me.
Oh, yeah.
and again, you just have to make sure of that. But if you feel comfortable with them, you're confident, you got references, you check them out, then you can go ahead and work with them. But just make sure you have the contracts right that, holds them accountable for a time frame, holds them accountable for a draw schedule, and that everybody's on the same page when it comes to that, because you'll get into that with contractors where even though they had it there, they fall behind. And you give them some leniency because weather plays a role. And, if they're a contractor, they have multiple jobs. Bob calls out today at this job. He's got to scramble around because he's trying to get it done. Bob calls out for your job. He's got to scramble around and try to get your job done. So, good contractors have a team of workers that work there. So they're always moving guys around where they need to, but sometimes they have to pull back on some projects in order to get other ones finished up. So then they can focus more on your project or focus more on the next project. Because again, they have to put food on the table and they employ people. So they have to pay other people who put food on the table for their families. So, it's all about building the relationship with them, just like anybody else.
Yeah.
And just make sure your contracts are good. And if you need help with that, you can reach out to us. We can help you with making sure your contracts are good. If you don't know where to get contracts, you can work with an attorney. Rocket Lawyer. Rocket Lawyer.
It's like $40 a month.
You can
get
contracts out of there.
1 or 2 months, get your contracts written up out of there real quick, and you're good.
If you have a good attorney as part of your team, you can take contracts that you create, say, from Rocket Lawyer or somewhere else, and bring it to them, and they should be able to tidy them up and make them legal for your protection and the other party's protection. But now you got a legal contract that you could just reuse going forward. Anytime
you do a project, mumbo jumbo in there.
They put the legal terminology in there that nobody understands, but if you study it long enough, you will.
I do know there was a lawyer that was on here that's pretty good with those paperwork and complicated things.
No, very good at real estate.
Been there, used him, right, Scott?
Yeah. He's probably not listening to us, but
he'll hear it eventually.
And then, of course, scheduling the work with the contractors, making sure, again, it's on the contract. When are they going to start? When are they going to finish? Make sure that they clean up the work job site every day, because it's usually like you got to go in and you don't want to babysit them. And that's part of it. You got to go in and check on your contractors. Your first rehab, you might want to be there a lot because, one, you're going to learn things, and two, you're going to see how contractors operate and what you have to do. And you kind of got to teach them on how you want it to be done. And then once you're on the same page, things will run smoother going forward, because you don't want to not work with a contractor if the only problem is he doesn't clean up at the end of the day. You just got to teach him that he needs to clean up the work site at the end of the day. If that's the only drawback, because he could be a really great contractor and he's just in a habit of, he's just messy because maybe he does a lot of new construction and nobody's there and it doesn't matter. So that's why also when you're working with contractors, you need to know who you're dealing with and what type of work they're used to doing.
Oh, that's another thing. You can do the same thing with your rental properties, but you can do the same thing with your contractors. Look inside your contractor's vehicle when they show up to do, say, an estimate, or when you go to meet them. Look inside their car. If they got McDonald's piled up in the backseat all the way to the window, and that's all that's in the backseat, that's what they're going to do to your job site.
It's going to be a mess. They're not organized. Their paperwork isn't good.
Be prepared.
Now, also, you have to think about it, too. Sometimes you don't need a full-fledged contractor, and you can use a handyman type of guy to do simple things, but you just have to understand what you're doing at the time,
That would be depending on your project.
Depends on the project.
What you want to do. You want to do a full-blown knock it down or throw some carpet in?
Or the in-between, which is mostly the standard, which is about 50 to 75 grand, where you're doing kitchens, baths, flooring, sheetrock, or doors and trim and all that. Okay, let's get into the time frame.
That will save you money.
Right.
And why? Because the holding costs we talked about.
Holding costs, and also depending on the time of year is when, if you're selling, is going to determine the amount of buyers you have that come in. Like July and August, you're going to have buyers, but a lot of people will go on vacation, except for this particular year. A lot of people are home, but normally July and August isn't really a good time for people to buy because we're all on family vacations. So you need to understand timing when you're putting a property on the market. It also depends on the market area. But you also need to know what's the length of the project. How big is the project? How long is it going to take from start to finish to get done? And you want to keep that within that scope of work, because you also have to know that, okay, if they're doing trimming doors on the inside, I could be having the asphalt driveway redone.
Yeah.
You know, they don't need to walk on the driveway. They can park their truck in the street and walk across the grass to get in the front door and do it that way. Or, you know, if you're doing some pavers in the backyard, people can still be in the house doing plumbing and electrical. So that's where scheduling the workflow comes in. You know, who's going to do what at what time? What are they doing? You need to understand that so you can schedule the workflow and the projects and also the materials and have them delivered in a timely order.
Yeah, so the scheduling and stuff, like we had the project that we're doing now, we had the patio had to get done, and the one whole side of the house had to get redone because the A&A debris ripped off an entire sunroom. So we can't have the guys putting the patio in at the same time the other guys are trying to do the walls.
Right.
So scheduling, you know, you have to kind of like think about it, and those that you're hiring should know how long. And sometimes they're like, oh, it should only take 2 days. If they say should only take 2 days, add 3.
Yeah, give them 3 to 5 days
in between.
They might,
you know,
weather could hold them up. Somebody,
Yeah.
There's always something. So that's part of your contracts. If they say, hey, it's going to take 2 weeks, give them 3 weeks. You know, and and at the end of the 3rd week, if they're only a day and a half behind, don't hold it against them. Just make sure they're there. You know, we don't babysit our contractors. We don't like to do that, but we do stop in every day at any given time. So they know us that we're just going to stop in. There's no set time.
Yeah, no,
We just
never
show up.
tell them.
Never tell them you're coming, because then they'll be like, oh, it's 12:30. They're going to be here in a half hour. Everybody get to work.
I've walked in and I hear the guys, you know, especially my sheetrock, boss woman's here.
But also ordering, like you can have your plumber, your electrician, your HVAC worker, and your paving guy kind of all working on the house at the same time, because they know from experience, he's in that room, I'll go in this room. So they can move around the house together without getting in each other's way. And they'll also be like, oh, he's down there doing that, I'll go do this. So you can kind of have 2 or 3 contractors doing something at the same time.
Yeah, you can they can work at different ends of the house.
Oh, and because I know people are going to ask this question, general contractor. So the problem with a general contractor is it's great because they handle the whole thing. You don't have to worry about hiring all the different contractors, right? But 1, it's a set price, which could be good. But 2, he controls the project. If it doesn't work out with you and him, then you lose the whole crew.
Wait a minute. So say the general contractor, you can have 2 different types of general contractors. So you can have their general contractor who brings everything to one project. So you sign a one and done. So, but then you can have a general contractor, which is what we do. We go into the projects, but we bring different people into the projects and we watch what they're doing and we oversee what's going on with all the different aspects that are happening. So there's 2 different ones that you can do when it comes to a general contractor.
The way we like it is because if we're not happy with what the electrician's doing, all we got to do is get to rough. We can fire him and bring in somebody else. But the plumber, the HVAC, the carpenter, they're all still working. So it's not impacting it. If you hire a general contractor, brings in his own crew, and you're not happy with the project process and what's going on, and you and him get into a fight, he can stop the project and you can't do anything. Because none of the workers are going to come in behind his back and do the work until he says, okay, get back to work. Then you're either going to fire the general contractor in the middle of a project, or you got to come to an agreement of some sort to get the project moving again. So
I've seen it on some of the other ones. It could cause a lot of problems. There's your problem.
Right. So you can hire somebody to help you with managing the projects. We do that. There's other people out there. Or you can hire a general contractor or learn how to manage the contractors yourself. And then you just manage each individual contractor. So that's something I wanted to put out there because a lot of people forget about that component. You know, when you start talking about electrical and plumbing, it's different ways to manage your contractors. You know, schedule the material beforehand so it's there. If you're getting hardwood floor, you want to have it at least a week in advance, and you want to unstack it, not unwrap it, just unstack it, because they usually stack it up in big piles. So you want to separate the piles and lower it out. Why do you want to do that? You want it to acclimate with the atmosphere in the house. So that's something that you have to always worry about is with hardwood flooring, so that it doesn't, it could warp or have other issues if you don't acclimate it properly with the house before it gets installed.
Been there and done that one.
Right. But you want to, you know, if your sheetrocker's coming in, you want to make sure the sheetrock's there. You know, the plumber, the electrician, and the HVAC guy, they usually kind of bring their own materials because it's specific to what they're doing. But the other kind of jobs, you can order it ahead of time. Unless the plumber, HVAC, and electrician give you what they need, then you can order from the supply house and have it delivered at least the day before. Try and get it 2 days before, so it's there just in case they get done early on another job or show up early. Just the materials are there.
Yeah, when you're ordering though, the materials and the supplies different. You got to remember, you don't want to order your kitchen, you know, and not have your floor there.
Right.
You know, you don't want to order the appliances and the floor's not there.
And the sheetrock's not up. Yeah.
And the sheetrock's not
Or
up
painted.
because then they're going to be moving this stuff around.
Right.
It's going to get banged up. It's going to get scratches on it. It's going to get filthy. And then that's just more stuff that you have to
do. And the contractor's not
clean.
responsible for the damage to
Yes.
that stuff because it's in his way. So that's all timing on your delivery.
Yeah, the delivery on that. But also when you're doing the stuff and you have your supplies there, don't forget, mark your stuff. And there's certain things like when the electrician's doing the hi-hats,
Right.
not like somebody else's project where they stole everything else out of the project, left the hi-hats, but took all the rest of the material. So that now became useless.
Right. So they had to get new material.
So make sure it gets put somewhere where it's not able to get stolen.
Right.
I hate telling you this, but it does happen. And when you're doing your bathrooms and your materials and supplies, don't forget, put your stuff on the side because you get the whole box with your diverters and all your stuff in it, and all your stuff seems to go missing.
The diverters in the wall now, all the knobs are gone. Yeah.
All your knobs are gone.
All the finishing work is missing. So yeah.
So make sure all that stuff gets put away on the side somewhere where you know, as the owner of the property, where it's at and it's not being touched. So
and then make sure
your supplies
that the project, when you get to the time that it's ready for inspection. We've been there where they said, I'm ready for inspection, and it fails and it delays the project. So you want to make sure that they are actually ready for inspection. If you go to the project and they say the plumber's not there and you see pipes not capped off, pipes not completed with connections to devices, to components, then you want to call them up and say, hey, you told me to call for inspection, but I see all this stuff disconnected. Is this ready? Or are you coming back today or tomorrow? Because I want to schedule inspection for Tuesday and it's Friday.
Yeah.
Are you coming back before Tuesday to get this done? You know, so that's why you want to make sure they're ready for inspection. And that's why it's good to always be there at least on a daily basis to check on what's going on. But also when you're starting out, it's good because you learn. It's a good learning experience because as they're working, you don't want to spend all day talking to them, but watch what they're doing and just ask them questions here and there. And you do that with every project. Yeah. And you gain more and more knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll learn more and more, especially women. If you want to actually get in there and do this. One of the things that I was taught, get in, get down, get dirty, learn the business. So be there on the job sites, go to different job sites and ask different contractors to stuff. Make sure and talk to the inspectors. They are your biggest help.
Yes.
They're
Don't be
not
afraid.
all bad. You know, if you talk to them, they will give you answers back. I have gotten contractors from them. I have gotten answers that, no, don't go anywhere near this one, that one. Oh, this is exactly what we need. It's the easiest thing. And they'll even write it down for you.
Yep.
So they're the biggest help, your inspectors on those jobs and your biggest education.
Yep. And not only that, sometimes when a lot of people say, oh, that guy, he's a ball breaker. If you go up front to him and you talk to him up front, a lot of times they're not, because you talk to them up front or you're asking them questions. So you make them feel superior to begin with at that point, where they don't have to try and dictate to you that they're in charge. Because they like that I'm God complex. If there's any inspectors out there, sorry, been down the road too many times. Anyway,
apologizing in advance.
Once the inspections are done and your finishing work's in, and you are now ready to market, you're ready for it to sell or to refinance, depending on what you're doing. So one of the things you could do is, as you're working on the project, talk to neighbors, because they're going to be out there looking at what you're doing, and you talk to them and let them know, because they have family members and friends that want to move into the neighborhood. We always list ours with a realtor, because I'm not a realtor. I'm not spending my time showing it or going through that process. I always give my commission to the realtor, because they bring me leads. I give them leads, it works back and forth.
add that into your costs.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
That's part of your holding costs and closing costs is your realtor's commission. That's why I said 13%. That was the other component I missed of that part of that. That's why it's 13% because the realtor's commission is usually 5%, and then you add in your holding and closing costs
And
for the other 8.
don't try to beat the
Nickel and
realtor.
dime 'em up.
For
No.
the 5%. 5%. I mean, they do the marketing. They do, they're back and forth. They're spending their gas, their time, their money on getting your property sold. So 5%.
And make sure you team with a good realtor,
Yeah.
don't team with your cousin or your friend's
depending,
cousin.
it could be
Unless they're
your friend's
good, but always vet your
that
realtors
area.
too.
Yeah.
You want to
Nothing personal, because trust us, we have a lot of friends as realtors.
Right. But you want to make sure, like, how many deals have they sold? They could say, oh, I got 30 listed. How many have you sold?
Mm-hmm.
How many have you closed on a sale on? And of those deals, how long did it take for you to sell them? You want to be able to sell your property quickly. And that all is determined on what you finish the house to be. But you want to be able to get that under contract, usually within 5 days, 10 days max. That's what we like. Within 2 weeks, we're usually under contract. Usually the first week, and then we have to go into, okay, we got multiple offers here. Let's put a final and a best together the second week, and then give everybody an opportunity to come up with their best offer. But a lot of our properties are under contract in the first week, if not 7 days. So that's how you want to kind of sell your house. And if you're ready to refinance it, that's great, because now we always use a realtor to list our rentals. And everybody says, oh, I can do that. And it's like, great. You want to spend the time showing your rental property all the time instead of looking for your next deal or getting your contractors on board with the closing for the next deal. That's great. Me, I don't want to do that. I want to be on my next deal, not spending time showing my apartment or my house.
That's why they say it's part of a team.
Opinion.
You got to have the team. Each to do their own stuff. Everybody has their little niches.
Yep.
So.
And then, of course, you want to review your scope of work, review your budget summary, review your contracts, look at what went wrong, what went good, document it so that you don't make the same mistakes on the next one.
Ooh.
You make different
I
mistakes.
think we were supposed to get off.
So I haven't gotten any notice unless they kicked us off. We don't know.
I don't know.
So the next couple slides are just some of the work we've done, so you can see what we've been through. Before and after of one of the projects where we did the kitchen. Before and after of another project that was a kitchen.
That was a fun one.
That one I had to do framing on underneath the floor. Another before and after of a kitchen, totally different house.
This was a townhouse.
This was the townhouse. Yeah, we took the whole soffit out and opened it up. And this is, oh wow, a bathroom. The shower's taped because it's glued, so we just left it there. But we took the picture because we didn't. That was we were getting it ready for the realtor like the next day. We put the toilet in the vanity, and
that wasn't quite finished. There's no toilet.
Yeah, well, we set the toilet in the vanity, and it was,
No.
This is one where we actually took the whole property down and built a new house.
I just got to say, this one was actually vacant for 10 years. This property was vacant.
Mm-hmm.
They said the smell that came out of this house was horrendous. And the whole street had what was called a Facebook party.
Yep.
When we had this property knocked down. So the whole township, since we did that project, even the people in the town at the building, they're like, there's another property over there that needs something done with it. It's like, okay. So.
Yeah, this one was basically condemned. You had to sign a waiver just to get inside.
You couldn't even see the house.
You couldn't even really go up. We got up to the second floor, but it was collapsing inward on itself.
That's all right. When E&R Tree Service came and they took down a whole bunch, and you actually found the house.
Yep. You couldn't even see the house except for the front. And then this was another big project we did where we had to add a whole second floor. The house was burnt out. You can see the smoke damage. We converted the whole thing and converted it to the house you see on the right.
Yep.
It was a big project. We had an advisor on this one because we had never done something that big and wanted to do it. And we actually helped the homeowner.
She actually baked us a cherry pie.
Yeah.
And she gave us Christmas gifts.
Now, we talked about Draws before. This is the company we use. Happens to be our kids, but this is the company we use. They come in, they do the clean out, they do any demo work, and hold the material out. And when they're done, you write them a check, and then you can then hand that in for your first draw to get reimbursed on your first draw.
Actually, they take quite a bunch of different views. They actually even added they will take payment through Venmo now.
Yeah.
And they have credit cards. You could do.
They have multiple ways: checks, credit cards,
and
cash.
And being
Venmo.
that they know investors, that's the big one.
Right.
Just talk to them.
Yep.
And they are licensed if you want them to additionally insure your place if they're coming to do the demo or debris. You want that additionally insured when contractors are coming to work on your property.
They have a truck, not a dumpster. So the project we're working on right now wasn't even our dumpster. It was the neighbor's dumpster. The trucking company wrecked the paving that we put in. So now we're getting that handled. So that's why we always recommend them, because they don't have a dumpster. They have a truck. And the labor's included in what they're doing when they haul away the debris. So it's not an extra cost.
But yeah, you can't get your first draw without having your demo first. And they can do the inspections. They'll be there for the inspections and everything. So
this is our real estate group that we run, that we host. You can hit us up on Meetup. You can find it on Facebook. It's a monthly education. And when we're back into it, bi-monthly networking. But right now we're doing online meetings.
I miss being able to go, hey, how's it going? Give a big hug and have some food.
This is how you contact us. An email, phone number. Our website, again, is under construction for those that missed it, because we're rebranding. That's our new logo that we just got a couple weeks ago, and we're in the process of reconstructing our website. Of course, we're on Facebook and YouTube as well. So that's our presentation. If anybody's still here, I don't know.
I know somebody was supposed to jump back on. Does anybody know where he went?
I don't know if anybody's back on. Okay, so.
So.
Is anybody here? Nick, hey, everyone, please make sure to comment. Can I hire your company to teach me completely how to flip my first few properties? Yes.
Yes, we can.
We coach people. We teach people. We joint venture with people, too. So we have multiple ways that we can help you.
Yeah, we've done that. I like joint ventures. I do.
Do you recommend a general contractor rather than individual contractors? Again, it depends on the project that you're looking at, where it's located. Who do you feel comfortable with? And what type of general contractor are you talking about? Like, we know we can do it. We know somebody else that'll do it. As we're hired as like the GC, but we're more a consultant, and we'll step you through the process of vetting the contractors, bringing estimates from contractors, so you can look at how it's done. Or you can go to general contractor. People do it.
We hired a general contractor consultant for a project. So
it all depends on what you're more comfortable with doing.
Yeah.
If you want, you can start going out and interviewing individual contractors, and then go interview a general contractor and see where you feel more comfortable. Because again, it's your project. You want to be comfortable with getting the project done and working with the person that you're going to be working with. Would you be willing to provide education on JV partnership alternatives?
Partnership alternatives.
Well, there's multiple ways you can JV a deal. It could be just money.
I can Zoom you.
Yeah, we could do a Zoom call. We've actually done that for people where they called up and say, hey, I got this problem. Look at this. And it's like, oh, okay. You need to get that work done. Or that needs to be fixed, and you hire this contractor.
I've had some, when they first started, I'll be honest, that when they first started, they were ripping something up and send me pictures, and they'll send me a picture and they're like, this doesn't look right. And I'll be like, I see the picture and I'm like, that's not right. You better tell the contractors that are there that are supposed to be fixing that. Now, they are not supposed to be using that.
With the JV partnership alternatives, it depends on what you're talking about. Are you talking about money, or are you talking about the work being done? There's different ways to handle it.
You have the money, we have the knowledge, and we'll bring the contractors.
That's what it is. Like, you JV with somebody where you buy it and somebody else will rehab it, or vice versa. Somebody that will bring the capital. I bring the capital and would partner with people who have the experience and marketing knowledge. Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah, we do that all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. I got to tell you, I love going to the projects and doing the work. I do not look like this when I'm on the job sites. Trust me. I've had guys that come up, and somebody actually was speaking before us, that had came in, and when he walked up, and I was holding a Sawzall and cutting a whole door out, and they just went. I was like, yes, and with my nails, I do the work.
Yeah, we're different than most rehabbers because we can actually do the work. We like to hire contractors now, so we're not doing the work, so we can do more projects. But if something needs to get done, we pick up the tools and we get the work done.
There wasn't always. There's a lot from the first rehab up. Each one, I think I've learned how to do something else.
Each house is different,
so
each project is going to be different. It's unless you're on the street and every house is the same. Generally, you're going to go. I mean, we did 2-story colonials, knockdowns, bi-levels, ranches, Cape Cods, the expansion. What else? An apartment building. So every project has its differences. Every project has different complications and problems. It's no big deal. I mean, sometimes you're going to sit there and say, no big deal. That's $5,000. Okay. But you're in the middle of the project. You got to get it done.
Yeah.
So you just get it done and figure out how to monetize your losses better. How to look at something better the next time. That's why we always say at the end of the project, go back over your scope of work, go back over your budget. What worked? What didn't? What did you encounter that wasn't planned? Keep a note of it so that later on in the next project or maybe 2 projects from now, you'll be like, hey, wait a minute. I remember doing something like that in the past. Or put it into your scope of work for the next project. Have it there.
Yeah.
Like we always do. We call it the or the fudge factor, where 10% of the scope of work is added on.
Yeah.
As an additional cost. So if it's $60,000, we add on another $6 to $10,000. And
minimum $10,000 on most of the projects because like the biggest project, no lie, from the top all the way down to the basement. This is when I called it the OS1 because the cast iron pipe was cracked all the way down and we had to take out the whole floor. So I would be standing up and we had to cut, literally had to cut it out completely, the whole thing. And it was a factor.
And
Wow.
Because of the experience we have, marketing, the knowledge and skills comes from we know our market areas. And if I don't know the market area, I research the market area to find out what is the ARV of the property.
Yeah, sticking to your backyard.
First thing that I know
is,
I don't care what somebody's trying to sell a property at. What is it worth when it's done being fixed up? I've had people tell me, the house worth $500. And I looked at it and said, no, it ain't. It's worth $440. You just lost $60,000. And they're like, whoa, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah, I'm dead serious.
No, yeah. That's
I looked at the market. The only house that sold comparable to that was $440, $450. You could push the number to, I could push numbers. We push numbers a little higher because we always do quality work. We don't put garbage.
When we say push it higher, it's not like $50,000.
No, it's just a little bit higher. If
20.
If a property sold at $450 and the average is like $430, $440, we know we could probably get the $450, but we don't count on it. We keep it at that price range of what is everything else selling in the market area. And then when we're done, we call in our realtor and we say, okay, we talked about it at the start. He comes and looks at it. This is what we're going to list it at. And when we're done, he's like, I checked it out. We're going to list it at this. Sometimes it's higher. Sometimes we list it at a price and it goes up because there's people that want it. So they push the market up on it. That's always a nice thing. That's always a good benefit.
Always. Well, the one thing, I totally just lost that thought. When you say with the realtor, ask them. That's one of the questions that you can ask the realtors. What could you sell this for?
Yeah.
And that's how you get what you're going to be able to sell it for. Because if they can't sell it for that, then, nobody's going to make anything.
Look for a realtor that's sold in that exact market, in that neighborhood even. If they've sold in a neighborhood and they've sold multiple properties in that neighborhood or that area, then they should know the market area because they've been there before and they've sold in the area. Right. And usually you want to look at 6 months to a year back tops.
Yeah.
And that's going to tell you what your market's doing.
I do know some of the towns, they come in, they buy, and they stay until they come.
Unless they have no choice but to leave. But
Yeah.
some townspeople just live there forever.
I did want to ask if Tom was still here and if we answered, and if, to find your contractor as the beginner,
Yeah, I don't know if Tom, if you're still here, if you can respond and let us know if we answered that for you.
Well, just to
make sure just to make sure.
Home Depot, the township, ask at your townships, the township where you're going to be doing the rehab, ask them who's doing a lot of work there. They should be able to answer you. And go in. Well, you can't, because see, this COVID thing is going on. But give a call, ask. Do the best you can. Give them a story in the beginning. Build some rapport. And the ones driving down the street, the ones that are in that town. If you're going to be like, if you're doing a project in Tom's River, so go down the street and you find the contractor's van and they're listed for Tom's River. That's where because then they can't run away. Just
make sure it ain't their house and their driveway, because that means they're not working and they're probably not a great contractor. That's something you got to think about too. If you happen to be in a neighborhood and the contractor's van is in a driveway, make sure that's not his own house. Because if it's 2 in the afternoon and he's sitting parked in a driveway, he ain't working, something's wrong with that picture.
That's one of the things. My uncle was the one that told me, and he did many projects. And one thing he says, if you're at like Home Depot or Lowe's and that contractor's there like late morning,
early afternoon,
getting materials, then you happen to see them again at they're wasting a lot of time.
Yeah, driving back and forth.
So that's not the kind of contractor, and you're paying him for wasting that time. Don't forget, it's your money.
Yeah, whether you're paying him by the hour, which we don't do, or you're paying him by the project, he's holding up the project. He's not getting the project done. And then make sure too, when you're paying your contractors by the draw schedule, that they accomplish what they said they were doing in that time frame for the draw.
Yeah.
We've had contractors say, "Hey, I know it's not rough yet, but can I get money towards the rough?" And if you have a rapport with them and you've been working them for years, that's up to you. If they're a new contractor, I would say no. Whether they need money or not, it's not your responsibility to pay their people. But if you pay them up front, then all of a sudden they can walk off the job. We've seen that with other investors where they paid people up front and the guy left, never did anything or didn't finish the work.
Quite a few times.
So now somebody else has to come in and finish the job. And nobody likes to come in and finish somebody else's work. It's
harder to get somebody to come in and fix a contractor's mess up. Mm-hmm. It's really, especially because I've actually come across where I've had a contractor go and look at a property and they say, well, I put a bid in this, such and such a long time ago. And it's like, okay, well, now what do I do? So.
Yeah. Gary, if you want our information, I can put it up on the screen again. If you didn't get it.
Yeah.
If you wanted to talk to us about JVing.
Should we try to text Nick and say, what's up?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Nobody's come back on. I've seen him come on and say, you got 2 minutes, you got 3 minutes.
He said he was coming on.
Nobody said anything to us. The guy left. He was supposed to come back. Yurik. I'm like, I don't know where he's at. Okay, yes, please. I'm going to share my screen. I'll put it back up.
I'm going to try to contact them. I guess we just end it.
I mean,
unless everybody's got more questions. Hey, we're more than willing. Our kids are all grown. You've seen it. They're in A&A debris removal. So,
can you see your screen, Tom, or Gary, or who it was? I couldn't tell. Oh, Gary. Tom was the other person we wanted to find out if he answered his question.
Did it pop up yet?
It should be there.
I don't see it.
So maybe is that it? No. Maybe that's
nope, can't see it yet. Maybe because you stopped sharing that he's got to share it again.
No, it says it's sharing right now. Can you see it yet?
No.
No, it's not there.
No,
why
it
is it
wouldn't
not?
be here. Because
it says it's sharing, but okay.
No.
Hold on, let me
I was going to try and click a picture and send it, but that's not working.
If you, well, I don't have his information. If I had his information, I would just send it to him directly. Or you know what? Maybe can I? No, I can't. I can't comment. I can't post up in here. Well, we're I wish I could post on the screen. I can't even put in the comments. Oh, maybe I can. Okay, there's his email.
I just put up
okay, there you go.
Ours.
That's how you get us, Gary. You can put our phone number up too. Anybody that's interested in case they missed the information, that's our email address.
I suggest a quick text. Do a quick text to us if you're gonna
Call
before you call with your number, because who else gets robocalls? Okay, I hate them. So I stopped answering the phone unless you're in the contact, and then I wait for the phone call to go through. If you don't leave me a message, then obviously it wasn't that important.
Okay, you don't see ours in the chat in the comment area, Gary?
See Tabatha?
Tabatha. Our email, she put her email and her phone number up there. If not, I have your email. I will reach out to you later. Okay, it's 848-207-4095. Again, 848-207-4095. And our email is info@D as in David, IR, the word properties.com. Again, it's info@D as in David, IR, the word properties.com.
Oh. Yay!
That's all right. There might be a delay.
I see it from our screen up here to Facebook Live.
There's delays going on somewhere. I don't know if it's from us to him.
You know what? I
studio.
think it's because there's a couple people streaming.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I don't know what. I'm not sure what we're supposed to do here. Nobody came back on. Like, if anybody else has questions, I don't know how many people are on.
Text Nick. He didn't say just.
He probably forgot about us.
Hello.
Won't be the first time.
We like closing the places down anyway.
We always do.
We actually had a business coach, and he says, be the first one in and be the last one out. You get to meet everybody in between. So, which is great. Anybody else have any other questions?
Let me see. Maybe it says it in the email he sent.
No.
Yurik said he was going to come back on.
Yeah, he did. All right. Bye, Gary. Talk to you soon. You know, because I want to go check out the apartment thing.
Yeah. Well, if you want to drop off, I can hang out in case anybody's still here. I don't know if anybody's still here.
Tom never answered back, but I hope we gave you the information you're looking for. And you could always give us a call.
Mr. Scott, I think Mr. Nick wants you to end the stream once all questions are answered. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we're good. All right, everybody. Thanks. Nobody told us.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining, and I hope you had a great day and learned a lot from us and everybody else that you watched our presentations. And I think there's a few more people that are left that you can catch and get some more knowledge and information out of it. And if you need to reach out to us if you got any questions. thanks for coming and stopping by. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye now.